What's up, everybody? I'm Gil Flo.
I'm Lord Spleech.
We are the Video Game Archivists, and today we are reviewing WWF Warzone, the first WWF wrestling game for the Nintendo 64.
In some ways, it shows.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, they didn't know what they were doing when they came over to this. Apparently, THQ had WWF, and when we switched over to the N64, they went to WCW.
Yeah.
So you got two different types of games. Up until this point, wrestling games were just fighting games.
Well, I mean, I still consider them sports games, but yeah, they were definitely influenced to a certain extent by fighting games.
Yep.
I mean, some were, I know, way back in the day, were more into the sport end, but I know you can tell this one definitely has some fighting game influence with the controls and the stamina bar.
Yeah. So, I mean, the controls are not terrible. They're not as good as the WCW.
Basically any of the AKA games, because oddly enough, this is made by Iguana Entertainment, the guys that end up doing South Park the video game, which I know doesn't, be one of their good ones, but at the same time, they made the Turok games.
Yeah.
Those are fucking awesome.
So let's get into it. We have start game, which we'll get into in 1 second. We have training mode, which is literally
a standard training mode where it's functional. I mean, you can literally practice against the other guy, dummy setting, so he tries to attack, or you can try different attacks on him.
So we have create a player. Let's dive into this real quick before we reveal our character. So let's create. So let's go to gender first. Why even have an option if you don't have an option?
Yeah.
Unless you get an option once you unlock the females. Now they're unlockables.
Which is kind of weird in my opinion,
but let's go here. So like upper body. Let me just show you some options here. Like everything's super generic. It is the first creator mode, so I'm not really going to dock it too many points on that.
and you can still have fun with it.
So let's load our character. There he is. The default. He is the man. Alright, so character creation, pretty cool idea. Not the greatest.
I mean, it was obviously an early one idea, but there's one thing I have to dock on the character creation, not necessarily because it's early, is that when it comes to the attribute points, to actually determines how good your character actually is.
Yeah.
They have a charisma bar.
Which
what the fuck is gonna do that?
The crowd liked this when we played.
True, but the fact is, it's like, what's the fucking point?
So it is wrestling. So you have some options here. Difficulty and announcer, the big two. We put it on medium. We got beat after the third match in the actual main mode.
Yeah.
Announcer is JR and Vince McMahon. So if you weren't alive at this time, Vince McMahon did announce while his father still ran the WWF. And then...
But it wasn't long until he took over. I know that's for sure.
It's pretty cool. We do have biographies.
Yeah, but I still don't get the charisma. It's just like, it's kind of useless for this game. Yeah.
What button? Up?
Yeah, up and down gets you the alternate costumes, which apparently you can lock more.
I just wanted to show you that real quick. So
it traumatized you.
So start game. You have challenge mode, which is your actual main game, and then everything else is just extra options.
Yeah.
1 player, you have 2 player, you have 3 player, and you have 4 player.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
it.
Yeah. So let's go into the notes. You have a stamina meter, which kind of, as you get beat down, the lower it goes, you can get pinned or tap out. We never got anyone to tap out. But
And notice that when we had some people in the pain for the submission tap outs, there was like a counter that was going up, which I imagine would be 10 by default, but we never got that high.
Yep.
But yeah, the stamina meter in this game is definitely more like a life bar in a fighting game.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it goes by different colors, and every time you knock it down one, it's multiple bars. But you can never recover multiple bars. You can only go up to a full bar.
Agreed. So we're going to go ahead and flip that back so the demo can go. There's another mode in there called Tornado, which was 4 players, but
it seemed to be a team match.
It was a free-for-all. It was a free-for-all, but only 2 people could win.
Yeah, it looked like it was basically... It was probably technically a 2v2 match, but it didn't clearly say that in the name. It just said Tornado.
Yeah. So one of the modes that I really wanted to be good when I rented this game and got this game years ago was Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Royal Rumble sucks.
Yeah, the problem is like the way the controls are. It's not easy to get people off.
It's more
out
like
of the
it's
ring.
like up down and a C button,
Which is basically, it's literally a fighting game style combo system, which doesn't really work well for wrestling.
Yeah, I agree. And again, this was an early game, so
Sure.
I don't really want to.
And it's a different team making it.
Yep. Cage match is fine. It's really easy to win if you can sneak your opponent to not pay attention to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is funny when you're playing your custom character, the crowd will yell, "Let's go, player one."
Yeah.
Crowd is very active in this game.
That's also. I like that it's like early game because even WCW MW World Tour did not have commentary at all.
Yeah.
Like even the announcer, like it was nothing. Yeah, I know later in the AKI quadrilogy it gets there.
Yeah.
But even then, they never really had a crowd interaction like this game does.
Yeah. This
You
game
have to give it to that for
definitely won the crowd, please. So the cool thing is so challenge mode, you get kind of a ladder like you got in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
But it changes.
So you don't know who you're exactly facing because after it's almost like a simulation. So it's like after your match, all of a sudden everybody shifts over. So you can still whoever has the world weight championship belt could still change up by the end. So.
Yep. So one thing I noticed, and I don't know if it's a glitch or just an oversight, when you go out of the ring with someone, you knock them out, you go out, you get back on the ropes, and you jump and attack them.
Yeah.
The out-of-ring count restarts.
Which is, seems like a glitch because, I mean, granted, because I know with the AKI games, it was more or less, it still continued.
Yeah. Also, the roster is really small. I know that WWF's roster wasn't this small, so I don't know if they just didn't have enough time to program, or they just put the main names of the time in there.
Or whoever they just decide. And even then, some of the people I don't know. Like, most of them I know of, but then there was the one guy that was Ahmed, which, I mean, I know I wasn't watching back then, but I don't remember
But
him.
I knew everyone else.
Yeah.
So, that's all I really have to say. Like, overall, it's not bad. I'm sure for the price that you're going to pay for it, 100% pick it up.
Yeah, and it's definitely, if you're into WWF, now WWE, it's basically, it could be a collector's item. But it's basically, this was probably a functional game. Like, I know there's another one called WWF Attitude, but I didn't play that one back in the day.
We'll get into that one.
But we'll get to it, But I'm just saying, it's like, once WrestleMania 2000 came out, there was really no reason to play this game.
Yeah, it's very true.
So if you don't have WrestleMania 2000, this one serves if you want to get your WWF grind on.
Yep. So let's skip over the ratings. How do we rate? So 50 is right in the middle. There's nothing good or bad. Anything above it, every point above 50 is more towards perfection. Every point below 50 is closer to Superman 64.
Yeah. Foreshadowing.
So let's get into our ratings. So Spleech and I both agreed. Gave it a 65, which is, if we go back, a okay game. And I agree. It's okay. It, again, like we said, is the first, it's following trends from the Super Nintendo and the Sega.
Yeah.
It wasn't really making its own way or blazing. It's playable. I kind of get bored of it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And even, like, back in the day, like, nostalgia-wise, I remember, like, okay, I played this because I definitely knew WWF more. But I went back to World Tour and Revenge when they were out.
Yeah, I played World Tour before this, so it was quite disappointing.
Yeah.
All right, so how does it hold up now? Obviously, games rust. According to Spleech, this game really rusted.
Yeah.
I only knocked 5 points off because I knew the roster was bigger now, which really limited roster is kind of upsetting. There's a ton of unlockables, but I don't want to unlock them.
Yeah.
I don't want to play this game long enough. I mean, maybe if you enjoyed the fighting style wrestling over the THQ, like punch people until they fly out of the ring. Wrestling. Yeah.
But to me,
so why do you knock 10 points off from nostalgia here?
Honestly, it's just like after that. I mean, with the rust and all that, it's like the idea of it borrowing from the fighting games as an idea. To me, it just doesn't hold up for wrestling as in itself, as sports entertainment itself.
Yeah.
That's why I love the AKI games because they kept and the fighting style of it kept up with the idea of wrestling and sports entertainment. This one's like, okay, it's trying to competition to win, but it doesn't have that fun feel. Like, most of the time when we were playing on the stream, it's like, okay, we're just beating the shit out of each other, but we really didn't do the flying shit.
Yeah, you didn't know what we're doing. So that gives it an overall rating of a 61. The game costs $6. You can probably find it in your local retro game store. for $5.
Yeah.
It's not really a waste of money for $5. You'll get a little bit of play out of it. Don't expect a lot if you prefer the THQ games.
Yeah, and for me, it's also just in general. I would get this if you want to collect WWF memorabilia or wrestling memorabilia in general.
Or you like the fighting style.
Yeah.
That's all I really have to say about it. It's not really a bad game. It's not really a good game. It's just kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
All right. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Ooh.